I think I've got more pessimistic about the economic effect. I mean, although I was a clear Remain voter, I was a little bit worried that Project Fear was overstating the economic downside. And in a sense, I've almost changed my view on that. I think the economic downside could be quite significant. But I think that is really the result of a potential failure of the government negotiating strategy. I mean, there was a majority in the referendum, not the majority I wanted, but I think it was based on two clear things: an opposition to being part of the political structures of the European Union and making budgetary contributions, and concerns about immigration and free movement of people. So although I didn't want it, I think there has to be a significant response to that. I don't think that vote was against the single market or against the customs union in any way. And I think it's the single market and the customs union where you get the economic benefits from. I therefore think what the government should have been doing is aiming right from the start to say we want a deal which doesn't have free movement of people, which ends large budgetary contributions, but where we fundamentally stay in the customs union. And I fear that the government has got itself into a mess because Theresa May in her 3 red lines had one too many, which by saying we could not accept the jurisdiction of the ECJ meant that we couldn't stay in the customs union. And what Chequers really is an attempt to stay in a customs union while not calling it the customs union in order to save face and pretend that we've done it. And the trouble is that people who know this much better than I do say that the Chequers deal doesn't work in technical terms. So I think the problem is, as we go into the autumn, the logical solution is to leave the European Union, not what I wanted, but is to do that, and to stay in the customs union. But there is a danger that we will now fall out without any deal whatsoever. And I think that that will probably be economically very bad. I think that will make, the warnings of Project Fear, absolutely right.
Let me be the optimist. Maybe she's smarter than we think. And actually, just pulling on something you said yesterday, maybe she can have us in a customs union that doesn't say we are in a customs union. That was pretty much the premise of what you were saying.
I think that is what the Chequers deal is trying to do, and I think it's sort of rowing back from some commitments that were not necessary. Because honestly, I don't think the vast majority of people who voted to leave give a damn about the ECJ. They give a damn about budgetary contributions and immigration. The ECJ is a technical thing. I don't think it has been to the disadvantage of the British economy at all. I think that is a fantasy of the extreme Eurosceptics. But obviously, when you're in a space, you have to try and find a way forward. So in a sense, the negotiating strategy is to end up in a sort of customs union without calling it the customs union. The difficulty is I don't know enough about the details to know whether that's possible, and it becomes unbelievably complex. I mean, once you get into the details about how you do the collection of tariffs, how you do rules of origin, etc., they are mind-bogglingly difficult. And my understanding is there are still very serious concerns on the part of the European Union negotiating side as to whether the Chequers deal as proposed works. But I would accept what your basic premise is, that given where we are, the best thing we can come up with, and maybe we'll get there. And indeed, honestly, my expectation that there's a sort of 70% probability that we will get there is that we'll broadly end up in something which gives us the economic benefits of the customs union while not quite calling it a customs union. And if we do that, not where I want it to be, but at least that will be a better situation than the alternative.
Let me get this right. You're a former boss of the CBI. You're a former head regulator in the UK. You're a member of the House of Lords. You've written extensively about debt and the economic situation in 21st century countries, and you don't know what's going on in Brexit. You don't understand the details of how this will work.
Look, I don't understand the precise details. Let's be
what hope is there for the rest of us?
Well, you have to a degree, go on the principles. The broad principles are you want to have free movement of goods. You want to have no checks at the borders. You want people running an automated supply chain to be able to move their goods backwards and forwards as freely as possible. Now, the simplest way to do that is to say we are staying in the European Customs Union. But then that then has a set of rules about how you behave, and those are covered by the ECJ. You gather an external tariff, and you have no internal tariffs, etc. The moment you go away from that and start saying, I want to get the equivalent of that without being precisely in it, you are bound to be creating something which is, complex. And to be honest, I have not gone through all those complexities of this maximum facilitation process and etc. I just haven't, I'm up to other things in my life.
Let's hope Ollie Robbins
but
and
all
Dominic
I
Raab
can
have.
say, I'm sure that Ollie Robbins fully understands it. I'm sure that Michel Barnier fully understands it. And I
Do you think Boris Johnson wants to understand it?
I very much doubt whether Boris understands it, because I doubt that he wants to understand it. I think you're absolutely right. I think Boris's mode of operation is to, don't bother me with the details. I've got a political.
But then he's got an.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.